The tragic death of Gene Okerlund, how it happened was sad. Do you remember those classic wrestling interviews with Mean Gene Okerlund? Always smiling, always getting the scoop. But behind the scenes, there was a sadness that ultimately led to his passing. It's a story most fans don't know. Eugene Arthur Okerlund, or as most of us know him, Mean Gene Okerlund. Born on December 19, 1942, in Brookings, South Dakota, Gene Okerlund made a name for himself as the voice behind some of the biggest moments in wrestling history. Whether he was interviewing the likes of Hulk Hogan or introducing legendary matches, Mean Gene's voice became a staple in the wrestling world. Okerlund is best remembered for his work in the World Wrestling Federation, now WWE, and World Championship Wrestling. His interviews and smooth delivery earned him the title of one of the greatest wrestling interviewers ever. In 2006, he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by none other than Hulk Hogan, a fitting tribute to a man who contributed so much to the sport. He even signed a lifetime contract with WWE, continuing to work on special promotional programs throughout his career. But how did Gene Okerlund become such a legendary figure in professional wrestling? It all started in the early 1970s when he joined the American Wrestling Association. His natural charisma and way with words made him a hit with fans right away. Soon, Gene was doing backstage interviews, hyping up matches, and working with some of the biggest wrestling stars of the time. But it wasn't long before the WWF came calling. In 1984, Gene made the big move to WWF, and that's when things really took off. His interviews became legendary. He was the guy who could stand toe-to-toe with wrestlers like Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and the Ultimate Warrior, no matter how wild things got. Whether he was handling intense promos or funny backstage moments, Mean Gene always kept his cool and delivered the best interviews in the business. What made Gene Okerlund so special wasn't just his voice or his ability to interview wrestlers, it was his personality. He had this way of making every interview feel important. Like whatever was happening, you had to pay attention. And even when wrestlers were going off script or getting a little too intense, Gene was always right there, keeping things together. Sadly, like many legends in the wrestling world, Gene had his battles with health issues in his later years. He suffered from kidney problems for a long time. In fact, he had undergone 2 kidney transplants in his lifetime, the first in 1995 and another in 2004. Despite these challenges, Gene continued to appear on WWE programming and at special events, showing the same charisma and love for the sport that made him famous. But as we all know, time catches up to everyone, even someone as lively as Gene. In late 2018, he suffered a fall that would eventually lead to a rapid decline in his health. After the fall, his condition worsened due to his underlying health issues. He was admitted to a hospital where, unfortunately, his body just couldn't recover from the complications. On January 2nd, 2019, Gene Okerlund passed away at the age of 76. His family was by his side, and while the wrestling world was left in shock, we were also left with decades of memories that will never fade. For many of us, Gene wasn't just the guy holding the microphone. He was a true voice of the golden era of wrestling. When the news of Gene's death broke, tributes poured in from wrestlers, fans, and colleagues all over the world. Hulk Hogan, one of his closest friends in the business, tweeted that Gene Okerlund was the best partner he ever had, both in and out of the ring. Ric Flair, who had shared countless interviews with Gene, called him the greatest voice in wrestling history. It's clear that Gene wasn't just a backstage personality. He was a key part of the wrestling family. Wrestlers loved him, fans respected him, and even people outside of wrestling could see that he was one of the true good guys in the industry. Here is a humble tribute to this legend from us. Subscribe and like this video to keep watching. Thanks. As a kid, Gene was an all-around athlete, playing basketball, baseball, football, and track. After graduating from Sisseton High School in 1960, Gene pursued a degree in broadcast journalism at the University of Nebraska. His passion for media soon landed him his first job as a disc jockey at a popular Omaha radio station, Coil, but it wasn't long before Gene made his way to Minneapolis, where he worked for WDGY Radio under the alias Gene Leader. From there, he moved on to become program director at KDWB and even worked behind the scenes at a local TV station. In the early 1970s, Gene left radio behind and joined the American Wrestling Association, AWA. At first, he filled in for an ailing announcer, but before long, he became the permanent replacement. It was during his time at AWA that Jesse the Body Ventura gave him the nickname Mean Gene. Funny enough, it started as a joke, but the name stuck and became legendary. Gene's first major interview was with wrestling icons Nick Bockwinkel and Bobby Heenan, and from there, his wrestling career took off. By the end of 1983, Gene made a major career move to the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, where he became their top interviewer. His presence became a key part of many iconic moments in wrestling history. One of his standout moments came at the very first WrestleMania, where Gene not only interviewed the biggest stars but also sang the national anthem. Of course, we can't forget his memorable interviews with Hulk Hogan. Hogan always started with his classic line, "Well, you know, Mean Gene," which became a fan favorite. They even teamed up in a match against George Steele and Mr. Fuji, and yes, they won. Gene's time in the WWF was filled with unforgettable moments, including his hilarious reaction when a sign fell down during an interview at SummerSlam 1989. And who could forget the bizarre gobbledygooker incident at Survivor Series 1990? Gene danced in the ring with a turkey-like character, even though fans didn't exactly love it. After the purchase of WCW, Gene made his return to the WWE, formerly WWF, in 2001. His first big assignment back was commentating on the Gimmick Battle Royal at WrestleMania X7. Over the years, he continued to host various WWE shows, including WWE Confidential and WWE Madison Square Garden Classics. In 2006, Gene was honored by being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, with Hulk Hogan doing the honors. Gene was a regular presence in WWE's programming, even hosting WWE Vintage Collection, which showcased old wrestling footage. He also appeared on special episodes like the Old School edition of Raw in 2010, where he interviewed modern stars like John Cena and Randy Orton. One of Gene's last big WWE roles was as the narrator for the WWE Network's animated series, WWE Storytime. He held that spot until his passing in 2019, after which Jerry Lawler took over. Gene wasn't just a wrestling guy, he made his mark in other media too. In 1985, he appeared on the A-Team alongside Hulk Hogan and other wrestling stars. That same year, he even got to interview legendary entertainer Liberace at Trump Tower. He also made cameos in several movies, including No Holds Barred, 1989, Repossessed, 1990, and Ready to Rumble, 2000. If you're a fan of old school video games, you might remember hearing Gene's voice in the snowboarding game SSX, where he announced the Mercury City Meltdown level. In later years, he appeared on WWE Network's reality show Legends House, and even showed up as a guest on ESPN Radio's The Dan Le Batard Show in 2013. Gene's final media appearance was in a Mountain Dew Kickstart commercial with comedian Kevin Hart in 2018. Gene's final WWE appearance was at the Raw 25th Anniversary Show in January 2018, where he interviewed WWE Champion AJ Styles. Just a few months later, he made a fan appearance at WrestleCade 2018 in North Carolina. Gene Okerlund passed away on January 2nd, 2019, but if you enjoyed this dive into wrestling history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content like this. Thanks for watching.